Alright, folks. Alright, folks. Welcome back
Microphone muted.
The game
to the
2.
Swain Betty League. Game 2, Sharkbait HooHa versus Forces of Nature, with Sharkbait, by some miracle, taking a 1-0 lead in the series, and what has pretty much already cemented its place in SBL lore after that game.
Yeah. If there's one thing, the rest of this series could be whatever, but people will be talking about that game for quite some time. That was one for the history books. So, coming into game 2, what are your thoughts on all of this, Swift?
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
That is...
That's what I felt like at the end of that last game. I had no possible response, and coming into this one, stretching for some words. We'll see how the bans go. So far, the same as the last game. We see the Skyner ban again, aimed at Micro. Lulu ban, aimed at Madam Strip. And it looks like that. What was the third ban from Sharkbait last time? There's Skyner, Lux, and what else? I know they banned Lux third, but
Microphone
They
activated.
banned
second
the
ban.
same thing, I'll remember.
Fiora,
yes,
they
it
banned
was
Fiora second. They might be trying to
Microphone
first
muted.
pick Fiora here with the lack of a Fiora ban.
Microphone activated.
I know Madam Strip's been playing it a little bit recently.
And there goes a Darius ban. Wasn't that big of an impact until post 50 minutes, but you definitely felt the Darius in some of those last team fights.
Oh yeah. I wonder if a bit of it's just Dan. You know how Dan is. Occasionally he will find a champion that he does not want to play against, and he decides that it will not happen.
And Fiora switched out for an Olaf ban, which I actually like. I felt like I'm Just Dan had a lot of impact post 30 minutes in that game until the last few fights. And it looks like a lot more discussion going into the bans in this game. Which, not surprising after a game like that. I'm sorry, folks. I am still in the process of catching my breath.
No, totally understandable. We see a Fiora ban coming out, and the first pick Braum. Braum appears to be a contested pick in this series now. He was picked in the first round by Force of Nature last time, and now he's getting picked up the first round this time. I imagine the Fiora bans because they sniffed out that Olaf swapped to the Fiora. They think that they were probably thinking that Madam Strip and Sharkbait HooHa was going to first pick the Fiora. Very strong champion on this patch. So. Also, someone from the stream would have reminded me, Swift, the surrender vote was brought up from Sharkbait HooHa.
Yeah, they gotta be feeling pretty good about that one not going through. And you know, that's a discussion some teams have. We're like, hey, do we want to surrender this? And teams go, no, this is playoffs. Like, we don't give this up. And
Yeah.
that was the 1 in 100 games where it pays off.
Yeah, no, that was That was awesome. That was something else.
So, different direction coming out of Tree and 30 here. They're taking Sivir and Leona. Going back to a little bit more of their bread and butter that they played. Both of those two champs ate a lot that season, especially the Sivir.
If we lost the Oriana, we kind of see a little bit of a flip going on here. Forces of Nature picked Braum and Oriana last time. It's definitely possible that both those are just very contested picks between the two teams for this series, and so it's very good to see the people taking away while utilizing.
Yeah, this is some high-level drafting. Take a lot of contestable picks here. Should be really exciting as this series evolves. And this is something completely new out of Sharkbait. They are going to put Iroh Hibbs the man to carry this game.
The Vayne pickup. I'm fairly certain we've never seen him play Vayne at all. And also, I mean, that was a surprising lock in there. There's something else. I mean, Vayne is very strong on this patch. Very high,
User joined your
very high
channel.
damage, and does very, very well against a lot of the Juggernauts. And it looks like we got Wang back in here to resume. We had a man down from the last game. Got a little too crazy. Lost the caster, but he's back.
It was really rough. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And so the ambulance got here, and then I was like, don't worry. I got like a few more games of BCL to cast.
You keep him on standby just in case, or is Joe ready to perform CPR?
It wouldn't be the first time I've seen Wang and Joe kiss, so I believe in the CPR. But going back to that Vayne pick, it's very good against the Juggernauts, but I don't know if I would expect Forces of Nature to pick any Juggernauts. And in that case, it might not be a great pick, especially with these picks. Mikro going for Warwick.
That is a lot of single target. Warwick will find someone and lock someone down.
And I actually really like this comp so far out of Forces of Nature. Those are 3 great champs to pair with Sivir. And Irohibbs, who has typically been the supportive ADC all season for Sharkbait, is going to be feeling a lot of pressure in this game because he's going to have to be phenomenal to have an impact in team fights.
I feel like Irohibbs really stepped up his game like 35-40 minutes into that game. We saw that one fight where I watched him barely even get auto attacks off. He looked just scared to do anything, and like he wasn't like moving and auto attacking. He was just running around, and I feel he cleaned up his game and was part of the reason why his team won.
Yeah, no, he definitely did a very good job there in the later team fights, and you very much know the issue directly on the head. I have to say I'm a little concerned to see how he does with someone who's also a close range AD carry, but without the spell shield this time. They have a lot of lockdown coming in. They have a lot of damage and a lot of CC coming out from Force of Nature.
I really like Forces of Nature's draft here a lot better than I like Sharkbait HooHa's.
Can I touch a little bit on the Warwick pick?
Yeah,
please do.
I did not get a chance. I actually
don't worry about how bad my Wang looked as a player in the jungle. He at least knows a lot about it.
Alright, so as far as solo queue goes, I see a lot of Warwicks get that Sated Devour, get the challenging smite, and get Bork, and you are able to basically take the enemy AD carry out of the fight with your ultimate every single time. And if that's what he's looking to do to get rid of Vayne, that is huge.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a very good ability to have.
And it's also really good against Lee Sin too, as a slightly more squishier champion as well.
I really like the Lee Sin pick here actually for the jungle. He's got a lot, like, the kick here is actually really, really big. Kicking Wukong out of a fight's really big. Warwick stands still, so you can actually line up the Warwick to wherever you want. So not only do you get to kick the Warwick, but because he's staying still, if you have like an extra quarter second or anything, you can very easily make sure you line up the kick to disrupt even more follow-up. And I mean, so there's a lot, and he has a lot of ways to get into the back line. So he's like a good way to bring a lot of CC, and Aurelia as well. The E-stun for single target stopping Warwick, which will probably be trying to ult the Vayne. Not bad at all. They have a lot of ways to stop Warwick, but they have a lot of AoE coming in from Forces of Nature and a lot of ways to get in. So it'll be very fun to see how both these teams play out the comps.
Yeah, Forces of Nature are bringing my favorite form of skill in the entire game with this team comp, and that's diving the enemy's backline so hard that all of their dive has to focus on peel, so they don't dive your Blue-Booer. Which is has a very high chance of happening, especially if Forces of Nature pull into any sort of lead in this game.
Labor has had amazing positioning throughout the season. I feel like he has prevented dives against himself just by being where he is. That fight by the dragon that he wins the game almost every single time on, like he's always sitting there behind the Dragon Pit or by blue buff, depending on what side he's on, and annihilates the enemy team and wins on that play almost every time he's picked Vel'Koz.
Yeah, no, he's played very well on it. One thing to bring back
out for him here, though. Madam Strip with a nice point-click CC on the Irelia.
Yeah.
Very optimal for having a single backline threat you want to dive against, which is definitely the case with this Forces of Nature comp.
Yeah, and also something to think about, like, going back as well with that, speaking of just getting onto their backline, where Swift mentioned their tops, like the one that likes to draw, the way they peel is by just putting so much pressure on the enemy backline. Works very, very well when you're on the offensive, but it's very, very rough when the other team's engaging on you. In fights where we see Sharkbait engaging onto Forces of Nature right away, they're going to have a very hard time. It's not going to be as pleasant of a peeling situation as when they're going to be on the offense. Both these teams are ones that want to be doing the engaging, not engaged upon.
So one last thing I want to comment on real fast before we get into this game. Another reason why I feel like Forces of Nature have a great draft here. 4 of the members of Forces of Nature either got their best champion from this season or at least one of their 2 or 3 S tier champions, depending on how you look at it. And I think 4 players got their best champion in this draft. Meanwhile, Sharkbaits, we have, I don't know if Madam Strips played Irelia. I don't remember it. So that would be 3 players playing in this season?
Yeah.
Okay. Then that's 2 players playing a champ for the first time, the Lee Sin of the Vayne. With the Braum and the Irelia coming out that they haven't really played a lot of this season. It's just so different than what this team has been winning games by playing. So while we got a chance real fast, is the tilt too much to overcome, guys? Who do you think takes this game?
I do not think the tilt is too much to overcome. I think that once again, Force of Nature won out in the draft. Maybe I'm still right in the fact that I still think that Sharkbait HooHa is going to come ahead in the series.
Oh man, I'm hesitant. This is gonna be really rough. I'm going to go ahead and say Forces of Nature again. However, I will go ahead and make a call ahead of time. If Sharkbait does win this game, I think it's a 3-0 in their favor.
I also think Forces of Nature are going to win this game, and I think this draft was pretty much the best thing they could have had happen to them. They get a reset after that last game by playing a bunch of their most comfortable champions, the stuff they've been doing all season long in the high-pressure matches. With Micro being the only guy to play something different, he's playing one of the most mechanically simple champions in the entire game, at least.
Hey, turning on that E and turning off is actually very difficult come game time.
Alright, so you see a lot of pinks coming down here right away. Looks like... I just want to
notice, I'm just Dan. Laid out a base, 25 seconds before he started to buy.
Yeah, no, that's gonna... We'll see how everything goes up with the invade. Looks like Force of Nature are coming in for the invade. They have a standard football line. Oh, had it back. Sharkbait going for the invade. Force of Nature have the standard spread across all 5. However, they did not have anyone in the mid lane to see that 5 people are coming around, and they're gonna blindside Micro. They're gonna get the flash out of Micro. Not a bad situation to have. Most likely will not be relevant, but there's a small chance that it does, and it's always just good to have that advantage.
I think that flash being down makes it so Micro's 15% chance of having a meaningful gank pre-6 is now 0.
Oh yeah, no. That just goes. Warwick will not be ganking pre-6 unless someone way overextends.
And that absolutely lets Sharkbait HooHa's laners sell out on not respecting the jungler here, while also not being afraid of the 2v2 if Dubdrum chooses to come in for a gank somewhere.
That also makes Warwick extremely vulnerable to invades. Warwick cannot fight Lee Sin in the jungle.
Yeah,
like, almost at all.
Yeah, with a very strong early invade. I mean, he's got the shield, the damage, and the attack speed slow. Looks like we're going to see a pretty standard start out from Dubdrum doing the golems, whereas Micro's going to start on the Krug. They're going to go ahead and just work their way through their respective bottom jungles, and we'll probably try to see a gank early on, around 3-minute mark.
As far as invades go, I believe this is 3 losing lanes for Sharkbait, so we might not see a crazy amount of invades. Because Forces of Nature should be in good positions to collapse if they happen.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think that you are probably correct. I think the mid. I'm not exactly 100% sure how the mid lane goes. It's probably fairly even. Both have a good amount of wave clear, but if there was someone to be favored, it probably would be Orion in this matchup. These are normally pretty even. In
We got a
normal
huge
matchups.
trade bottom. Wow. Decimating his health.
And now,
Oh my goodness. I must be like a couple seconds behind.
yeah, I must have been as well.
Huh.
Lang, what's your timer?
3, 14, 15,
What?
Yeah.
17.
I'm at live right now, and I'm 10 seconds behind that.
I'm 6, 7, 8,
Yep.
9,
I'm same as you, Swift.
and my jump to live isn't pushing any later. You might need to pause for a few seconds, Lang,
Yeah.
which is really
All right.
weird.
At
But
33.
hopefully we're all synced up together. We have Lee Sin now securing double buffs, going to hit level 3. Warwick, meanwhile, is doing the slower route clearing through his camp, not going to get his red. Dubdur's coming up, trying to see if he can find an early gank on Dan, but he's going to actually just decide to go for the scuttle. Big fight coming down, lots of damage going on to Hibs and Failed Destiny. 30 and Tree are really just showing their dominance in the lane this time, making up for last time where they were kind of a bit behind.
Yeah, and another thing we didn't really I didn't mention earlier, all season long at LCS level, Vayne was actually being used as a counterpick this summer because...
Dodger's coming in for the yank, and it looks like Dan's gonna barely make it out. Dodge the Lee Sin Q. Sorry about that, Swift. Thought we might have a first blood on our hand.
But so it's very good that Tree and 30 are getting this advantage early while they can, because that is definitely Sivert's best chance to really make something happen in this lane.
Yeah, most definitely. And it looks like that is going to get the teleport blown from Dan. Keeps him safely in the lane despite having a good amount of damage from him. And Dovetail's going to try and do a little bit of counter jungling. He might end up finding Dan here in the jungle though. But it looks like probably not much is going to come from it just because Magistrip rotated over to make sure that he is able to steal that camp safely.
Alright, while we have a second of downtime, Wayne, we're currently at 447, 48, 49.
I caught up. Alright, cool.
That is a very strange spectator bug I've never had happen before.
Yeah, that was weird.
3 of the 4 of us had the same time.
Oh,
well, I came in late.
Beautiful condemn from Hibs. He's going to burn the flash from 30. I don't know if that was actually intentional or not, or if he was just trying to condemn him away from the initial lance pull, but the result was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, but despite all this good trading, at least CS staying very even, so Hibs and Failed Destiny should be very happy with that, because Rob and Vayne is about as late game of a lane as you can play.
However, this Madam Strip lane, he's got a huge lead over Dan. He almost has, he's pushing 20 CS now almost already, and it's only just shy of 6 minutes in. That is insane. That is not what you want to see happening in a top lane.
Very, very impressive out of Madam Strip in this. He's apparently taking those sorry-ass top laner comments very seriously, because he has stepped it up a lot this match.
I feel like really as a champion that I see him play more, even though it's not in this league.
He is definitely much. I've seen him play that considerably more. And Dodger's going to get caught out here. He's going to find out. Micro's going to chase him down, but there's going to be no CC coming onto him. He's going to be able to walk back safely into his jungle, just kind of getting some presence shown. Micro is just really trying to farm up to 6 as fast as he can.
And this advantage in the top lane getting really big off of that nice trade that was forced by Madam Strip. I'm just Dan going to have to pop his consumables. He's sitting on no teleport in the wave coming at him, so this could be one trade away from really blowing top lane even more wide open than it currently is. Which, by the way, Madam Strip is sitting on 1550 and rising gold that he's about to go spend.
And Mikro still can't do anything. He is only level 4 right now.
Yeah. Dogdon currently sitting down, trying to find a gank in the mid lane, but the lane's kind of pushing. The lane's pretty much standstill, and Blab is sitting very far back, trying to make sure he is as safe as possible until he knows his jungle is trying to come in and bring some support. Dubdrum is patiently waiting, gets the ward dash over, misses the Q on the Bulbooer.
That was rough because he was about to set up for a nice insect there.
Yeah, no, if he would have landed that Q, that could have been very big. Viverite just hit 6, that could have been the first blood down onto Blab. They get the first bias coming out of the lane. Viverite actually landing a lot of damage on, gets the QW onto Blabooer, lands gets the first blood. Micro's coming in, but he's too low, and Viverite's just going to be able to walk his way out most likely.
That was a really, really nice play from Viverite there in the mid lane. Showing
That
why
was
he was
beautiful,
drawing
and that was
so
Blab
many
just
bans early in the
completely
game.
underestimated that. Blab has both the summoners up.
Yeah, that's... I don't know if he thought he was outside of range or going to survive it, because he was definitely on the outside of that one.
Dan goes in, gets the dash in, pulls off the Cyclone, pulls out a ton of damage on the Master. The Master stuns and turns around and lands the Blade Surge to pick up the kill.
And if Madam Strip chooses to utilize it, he's got a nice... Oh, no, he has no health. He's not going to set up a freeze in this top lane.
Yeah, but he'll be able to pick up these minions. Wow, that was a great turnaround by him there. Dan got a lot of damage out real fast, but he knew the damages, and he was able to pull out the win on that fight.
Yeah, really using that heal on his ultimate very effectively.
Yeah, that was very nice. Micro's gonna go ahead and donate the first blue buff. We'll see the first blue buff coming out onto Bulbooer here. We'll see if Dubdrum most likely will be doing the same for Viverite soon in the near future. Otherwise, unchecked blue buffs can make a very large difference in the mid lane, just being able to spam your spells over and over.
Micro now level 6. We might be able to actually see a gank out of this possibly devastating Warwick.
Possibly. He has his flash back up. So he's got flash and ulti now, and he went for the Devourer. So he's probably going to be trying to find a kill just for, Devourer stacks. He has the flash. Hopefully he can put a little bit of advantage on it, because his team's down 1k right now.
Yeah, he has lanes that can assist him very well in his ganks. Have Wukong being able to set up knockups after the ultimate or before. Vel'Koz being able to put out a stupid amount of damage.
He's coming in for the lane gang. Strip goes in onto Dan, gets a good trade on. Dan turns it around. Swift comes in. Micro flashes for the ult. He puts it down, gets a lot of damage on it, but Dan is going to also flash out and appear to get out safely.
So flash for flash in that top lane, but I have to think that's a win for Sharkbait, because that Warwick flash is probably the most valuable one on the map.
And Warwick ult's also down. That's a long cooldown.
If Warwick would have waited another 10 seconds to gank, he would have had Just Dan's Wukong ult and been able to secure a kill right there.
I think he just got antsy. I think he saw the opportunity. He's like, I have to go now. I have to try to make plays. And he got really antsy.
Yeah, that could have just been a case of bad communication. Dan should have been saying, like, I'm only 2 or 3 creeps away from leveling if he was that close.
Yeah.
No, he was already level 6. He just had to wait 10 seconds for the ultimate to actually come up.
Oh, yeah.
Warwick should have seen that on his screen.
Yeah, Warwick's going ahead and picking up the red buff, though, now. He'll still have a little bit of gank pressure because of the red buff, but greatly reduced by the fact of no flash and no ulti. 30 lands in. We get a teleport, though, coming out from Madam Strip as they turn around. Lots of damage coming out. 30 gets stunned. Bramall comes across. 30 taking tons. Dan comes in. Dan uses the Cyclone. Flashes onto them. And we got a good ult trade. That was a fantastic trade on there. But here comes Dubdrum. Comes in, lands the Q on the tree. Able to pick up the kill with the Madam Strip stun. Dan's running away, gets smite for the slow. Warwick's coming in, but he's not going to be able to do much. Condemn knocks in the Dan clone into the stone wall. Dan comes in, gets stunned by Strip again, and he's just going ahead and he's just going to whittle his health down. I don't see any way of getting out. He puts a ton of damage on the Dubdrum, uses the teammate active to pick up a kill before he goes down. And, wow, we just had a full-out brawl in the bot lane.
So this game's picking up right where the last one left off. Man.
Oof. Keeping us busy.
Overall, though, I have to feel like that series of events feels like a win for Sharkbait because of all the late-game champions they have on their team.
Yeah, I'd say overall definitely, but it does give Dan a fighting chance now in the mid lane, because he did get all 3 of those kills in the top lane, I mean. So
Irelia also picked up 3 kills during, or 2 kills during that.
Yeah, she picked up 2 kills. Vivrat putting some damage on a Micro. Isn't able to pull up too much though. 30's coming
Yeah,
around.
but
Micro
turns
also
ult.
onto Vivrat. 30 comes in with the lance. Stuns Mick. Vivrat's gonna flash out, but Failed Destiny's gonna get there. Dubdrone comes in with the land to Q on 30, but is not following it up. Black
Oh,
comes through, gets the knock,
baby.
gets the laser, blast away Vivrat, ending his life, gets the slow, and picks up the double kill onto Failed Destiny.
I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going, and Moore is doing it for the 4th time this season. He might have picked up his 2nd and 3rd Belcon depths of the league season, but I would be so worried that he just brought himself very, very back into this game with those 2 kills, if I were Shark.
And that's gonna go ahead, and they're gonna be able to pick up the first dragon. And Dan's getting a lot of damage onto that top tower as well. Things are looking good again for Force of Nature after that early lead.
Yeah, and that's very good for Forces of Nature because they are firmly in their power spike right now.
Oh yeah. That was a great turnaround. Dan getting engaged on Bystrip, taking a lot of damage, using the Cyclone to get out, but Strip's gonna Q back on him, get the E for the slow, and just auto-attack him down to pick up another kill and go on a rampage.
This has just been so confusing out of I'm Just Dan. Some of these depths, it almost looks like he doesn't know what Irelia does, and I hate to say this, but she hasn't changed much besides getting nerfed in the last 4 years.
Yeah. Wow.
And Madam Strip's starting to look like some vintage Mariahs with this 401 Irelia right now.
He's definitely proven to be a dominant force in this game after last game where his Darius had a couple misplays here and there.
Yeah, he's got that Triforce nice and early. He's going to be very explosive wherever he ends up right now.
Micro is lurking in the mid lane, but he got spotted by a ward off the side, so Sharkbait does know he's there. He has the ulti, his flash is coming up fairly soon. But Dubdrum's here for the counter gank. Micro's going in, gets queued by him, by Dubdrum, and he's just gonna walk on out.
Iguro just needs to focus on farming right now. He is actually decently into a State of Devour thanks to that dragon.
Yeah, he's a third of the way through there right now, and he's gonna help get 2 more by getting Balboa this blue buff, most likely. He may elect to take it for himself.
Oh man, I'm Just Dan. He doesn't have a teleport. There's gonna be a big EXP and gold loss.
This might even be the tower.
It'll be the tower, unless Mikro can somehow teleport up to the top lane, or Bilbor rotates up.
Oh, he's gonna stay.
He's actually
hopefully
got the lifesteal from that Ravenous Hydra. That's gonna help him
Yeah.
big time. Plus, he did have a health potion there, so it might not have been quite as bad as we thought. But man, do I feel like Forces of Nature really need to go force a neutral objective here. I don't see why they haven't started a dragon yet, because their fight should be so much stronger right now.
the dragon's already been taken.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm losing track of this game. Force the Baron.
Yeah, Micro's gonna try force the Baron, 15-minute Baron. Dubdrum's ward hopping over, and then try and find Micro, but is unable to find anything. He's gonna take a ton of damage though from Vivret over the wall. 30's coming in, but just gonna get some wards down, try to keep Bluers safe from any ganks. There's been a lot of focus on this mid lane from Micro. They've been trying to make sure that they keep this Vel'Koz nice and scary. This puts us into about 16 minutes into the game with pretty much as even as you can ask for. Less than 100 gold difference. Oh, never mind. A couple hundred gold difference between these two teams. Big Wave must have been killed.
Yeah, ultimately only a 400 gold lead for Forces of Nature right now. So I feel like their timer is ticking, and they really need to be conscious of it. Because Sharkbait is in great position that they just keep stalling this out fight after fights. And it really helps that Madam Strip got so huge in this top lane. Because I don't feel like I'm Just Dan thinks he can roam, because he's losing his 1v1 matchup so hard. He's not really the kind of player that knows to roam when he's losing 1v1.
And he actually has a fairly solid roam presence right now. He's got a lot of gold on him. He's got 3 kills and a fairly respectable amount of CS. He's going to get found by Madam Strip though. He's going to dodge, he's going to ult the pull off the Cyclone, take a lot of damage from Strip though. But Micro's also going to ult down. They're going to get the shutdown gold on the Madam Strip there, and another kill on I'm Just Dan.
Dan doing everything he can to hold even in this kill race he's gotten himself into.
Dubdrum's looking around though. He's gonna try and get behind Blabooer, it looks like, but Micro's gonna come in and he's gonna change his mind.
Micro's not going to be able to do much in that fight, 2v2 without his ultimate.
No, he just takes a bit of damage from Vivaret before walking into his jungle. Dubdrum missed that pink ward twice in a row.
Big
so I guess
breaking up the bottling. Exhaust goes down onto Iroh Hibbs and Tree.
Iroh's taking tons of damage. Exhausted on Tree though. Getting the hit up. Dubdrum's gonna kick him back, flash away. Dan's gonna go ahead and pick up Hibbs. He's gonna miss the Braum Q. Dan's doing tons of damage. Job's going deeper and deeper. Micro's gonna come in, flash, and kill Dubdrum, picking up the 2-for-0.
Have any of you guys ever seen that really cutesy picture of when Juggermaw became a big comp? Of somebody holding Cogmaw out on a fishing pole, dangling him in front of the
Vivaret landing tons of damage, lands the ulti and the shockwave, pulls out an Ignite, and kills Blabooer again. Blabooer dead, burn any summoners. That is another solo kill.
And that is about 200 health from the delayed lane ace. But man, did they commit so hard to Tree there, who made such a great play to get out of that fight. And
yeah,
that was big gold lead, 2K.
Yeah. I mean, mainly it's just like they got the shutdown top and then they won the fight bottom. I mean, they did trade towers off of that because Vivaret's pulled off another solo kill on the Blabooer.
I just rewatched that fight. Tree dodged Lee Sin's E, which would have probably landed him the kill, and then also dodged Braum's Q. That was amazing.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic fight. And then Madam Strip's coming in. He's going to probably pick up this tower here. Dan thinks about trying to hold it, but changes his mind. He's been scarred a few too many times from being into fights in here. And now everyone's circling around for the dragon. Dubdrum's going to walk over this pink ward again, but Vivaret and Failed Destiny will realize it's there this time.
And there is a TP advantage for Sharkbait right now if they want to force this dragon. I'm just nowhere near.
Right now. Does not have it. Burnables over the wall, trying to give a little bit of vision.
Tim, you're going, robot.
Yeah, I thought that was my drivers.
Baron being started up by Sharkbait here, and a nice cute Mikaro's got to be pretty scared of this. And Madam Strip's teleporting in, but On the Hunt comes out. This looks like the miscommunication. Labor gets killed on the flank in this fight, but Mikaro going in on a 5v3. This is not the fight Forces of Nature want, who are going to lose all 4 members in the blink of an eye. What in the hell were they trying to do there? They should have known I'm Just Dan's teleport wasn't up. But instead of just trading Dragon for pressure on this top tower,
and Dan dies to the tower.
My.
Am I still robot?
You are good now, it sounds like. But man, was that a gigantic series of misplays. And Dan didn't need to be so aggressive about that. They had sight of Madam Strip on the dragon. You could have backed off for the next creep wave and just taken that tower like a normal split pusher.
Yeah, and now Sharkbait, who else is going to pick up the last of the outer turrets, they're going to steal blue buff away from Blue, which is all of their wave clear, pretty much besides Sivir. This is really big for them. They have a solid lead now, just about over 2K, and they have a scaling team, and they picked up a very, very convincing team fight win there.
And that is the rare colossal fuck up from a 30-led team.
But what has the Batty League shown us today? Colossal fuck-ups don't matter.
The Batty League showed us a lot of things.
That both these teams are capable of throwing any advantage.
You can't argue with
Madam Strip coming around. He's going to try to get the flank on Blue, but Blue's going to back up and realize, and he's going to be safe from the roam. Madam Strip's looking nice and run back up top afterwards. And now Sharkbait putting a lot of pressure in the mid. They have 3 champions going there, but it looks like they're going to realize that the wave bot is... it looks like they're just going to send down Failed Destiny to go ahead and pick that up. And they're just going to try and establish some vision control here. So what do you guys think is going to end up happening here with this game, with how the things are going? Do you think, what is Force of Nature going to have to do to be able to pull up a comeback here?
They don't have long to do whatever they want to do, because their spike is going to be wearing out fast, but they should still have another 5 to 10 minutes of being the stronger team, but they have to, A, eliminate the gold gap that currently exists, and then B, force a lead back for themselves. Because Vayne, Orianna, Braum, those champs are just getting stronger by the minute here.
Yeah, they're in a very scary position here. And they do not have anyone that's very tanky on their team either to deal with all this damage. Mikro built a Bork after the Devourer, and Dan went Hydra into Last Whisper. What are your thoughts on this?
I really feel like this is actually not that bad of a situation, because if they can get in and get the Vayne down or the Orianna down, they push a huge advantage in their fight. I think this is kind of what we saw during last game, where Tree picked the Ashe and then was very vulnerable to the Wukong Darius dive-in. And that damage going to happen a lot quicker than last game.
Siveralt comes out there running down 30 lens all, gets onto Failed Destiny, slow on Dubdrum, putting in Mikro, flashing onto hips, gets kicked out by Dubdrum. Laser comes across, melts down Dubdrum and Failed Destiny. Boyana calls out, puts a lot of damage on Dan, misses the auto though, puts it on the Blue on the accident. Dan's gonna be able to walk out safely, and we get a 3 for 0 trade.
Yeah,
and
really
this is
awful positioning by him at the end of that fight to run back in for no reason.
Mikro's gonna take a lot of damage from his QW, but 30's gonna land the Zenith Blade, and between the damage between him, the Solar, the Sun, and the Vel'Koz is gonna blow him up.
Have you praised the sun today, boys?
Praise the Sun.
Praise the sun. This is the exact kind of fight that they were looking for. Mikro got a huge ultimate off on Vayne, allowing Vel'Koz to do a ton of damage along with him, and they blew up Vayne immediately.
Yeah.
That was just, like I said, they were down, but Forces of Nature were still in the middle of their power spike. And just as I was about to wonder why Tree wasn't pulling the trigger on a Siveralt, they took it.
Yeah, and they were able to pull off a rather impressive fight. They picked up a lot of kills there. And another tower that ties them up on towers. Not including the fact, if you remember, that top tower is, for all intents and purposes, just dead.
Anyone that wants to walk up and take the 2 health off of that tower, get some local gold, could do it whatever they would feel like.
If a single minion reaches that tower, uncontested, it will win.
Dragon spawn in here, a minute 15.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of vision come out from both sides. A lot more warding than the last game. People are very starting to stress the importance of that vision, and it's really showing.
Getting the vision on where Vel'Koz is during that dragon fight is huge for Sharkbait HooHa.
Yeah, completely agree. We've seen Blue just too many times this season get off the perfect rotation over a wall at this dragon fight.
And that is kind of what happened towards the last fight around Dragon. Blabor actually got caught out in right behind the blue buff and was unable to do any damage during that fight. On top of Mikro going in like a crazy man. But
And I'm just Dan having no way of coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that last dragon fight was quite literally worst case scenario.
Yeah, they got absolutely steamrolled. It was not a good look. But we'll see. We got another dragon coming up in just over 15 seconds. People are all getting set up. Most of Sharkbait is in the pit and ready to roll.
I feel if you thought that Forces of Nature were stronger than you, that you could just give up this dragon right here. Like, if you thought your team could scale into late game harder, like, don't fight them. You can pick better fights.
But it looks like they might be thinking they want to use this 5-1-4 Irelia while she's most relevant, because Madam Strip's slowly making his way down, and once again, I'm just Dan doesn't have his teleport available, and he's selling out on the split push. This could be an objective trade, but this is not a smart objective trade. They could have taken that tower easily without having to give up something for it, but now
They're going to get the dragon, though.
has the sense to walk out.
Yep.
That's a good case scenario for Sharkbait. And now, a really awkward kind of chase going, but I'm just Dan's going to get to this tower. The top laners meet up. But still a teleport advantage for Strip.
There might pop her.
Yeah, no, this is looking like really big. Master's actually going to go on to Dan again, finds him again, gets the slow up, but the Cyclone's going to come out. Dubdrum's going to dash him, but get knocked up by Dan as well. Dan's moving as fast as he can. 30 comes with the Solar Flare to save him. The kick knocks out Dan to safety. Strip's gonna flash the wall, but Dubtra's gonna get Warwick ulted, and he's gonna go down. 30 blows the ult. Spell shields the Orianna Shockwave, but he gets hit by the Braum knockup. Vel'Koz's laser coming through, not doing too much though, but he's gonna immediately scare off everybody. And we're gonna see a 1-for-0 trade.
Yeah, what's almost just a complete disaster for Dan actually turns into a great collapse out of Forces of Nature there. Like they normally do. They have to be very happy that Dan was able to walk out of that one. Because now they're in a position to take this mid lane tower and keep growing their gold lead.
You know, it's looking very good for them now. Up on towers, maybe down on dragons, but they have a solid gold lead now. And there's a very large wave bot for them to grab. However, we now see Sharkbait moving in towards the Baron pit, grabbing the scuttle, and they might have a play. They see the sweeper go down, and they're going to go straight onto the Baron.
I understand does have a teleport when this gets if this gets scoped out in time.
Force of Nature seems to know. They get the ward over the wall. That is not going to stop Sharkbait. They are continuing to go.
Just Dan is not teleporting in.
Micro
He's
has
recalling
flash.
out.
There is no TP going on. Dan's actually recalling. Now he's teleporting, and he is too late though. Micro gets over the wall, but Dubs secures the stun. 30's gonna get lit up here, take a ton of damage. Big shotgun comes out, but Dan's gonna still go through Cyclone and gets out. The laser comes across everybody, does some good damage, but Dan's gonna come back in, kill 2 of them for himself, and Vivor's gonna be the only one left with 3-1.
You know what hurts me the most during that fight? Micro did not use his ultimate.
No, he did not. He flashed over the wall. And
that was a fairly poor team fight from Forces of Nature. And they should be very happy that they walked out of it with a win there.
Yeah, no, that's real big. They got Baron off of 4 members. And also with all those deaths, waste a lot of time on the Baron. That's at least 30 seconds down before they're just even in the base. By the time they walk out, more than half the Baron's going to be done. However, that is a lot of gold and EXP.
I don't know how I'm Just Dan wasn't in the teleport earlier. I can't tell if they were scared to commit to that, or that was just bad communication and teleportation. But I feel like that Baron could have at least been prevented, or at least a steal contested. But they just casually let Sharkbait finish it off instead.
Did I just see that right? Never mind.
So it looks like Iroh Hibbs is going with the QSS for his 3rd item here, so that is going to somewhat slow down Micro's effectiveness. Probably going to need to start using that ultimate on Vibrat or to Peel instead.
Yeah, I imagine just with the way these team fights have been going, I would be very, very surprised if he actually starts using that ult defensively. I imagine he'll be trying to put it onto Vibrat now, or more likely not, he might not notice and will put the on the Vayne in the next fight, and then realize he has to switch to Vibrat.
But instead, Micro just getting caught out here. He just gets blown up. An easy kill for Madam Strip. But Tree and Vel'Koz is actually going to have a nice chase here.
And 30's going to barely misses the Zenith Blade. Dan's coming in, but he walks past Strip. Strip's going to get hit by the Solar Flare. 30's going to try and clean him out. Dan's going to try to Cyclone on Vibrat. Vibrat's going to walk out to safety, though. But Dan's dashing and doing a lot of damage. And we're going to see
really good delay of time here by Sharkbait, who just freed up a 2nd tower take for their Vayne.
Yeah.
And shouldn't lose anything for it. Actually, Creeps might not be in position for him to quite take this tower.
No, but he gets a good amount of damage on it, and they actually did pick up a kill as well, so it's nothing lost for them. However, Hibbs is staying long. He's going to be recalling in the bush, but we'll see. They know he's recalling there. Will they be able to stop him before
the blind
Tree's going in. He's shooting out the boomerang. He's going to land it on Hibbs. Hibbs taking tons of damage. Go ahead, and he's going to go down to Blabour.
Tree played that out a little too aggressively and almost traded his life for it.
Yeah.
He could have stepped back a little and let his teammates collapse in after he interrupted the recall.
He wanted blood. He saw the Vayne kill in his eyes, and he wanted to get on the scoreboard. He's currently the only one on his team who does not have one, and he wants to change that.
But even despite that pick, that's a Baron wasted out at least. But only a 3k gold lead for Forces of Nature right here. Sharkbait in a fairly decent position at this point in time.
We are approaching almost 35 minutes. 35 minutes, at least in my mind, is where I see late game. Like, that is where I see late game picks start to really come into play. And this mid-game team out of Forces of Nature is going to start falling off.
Yeah. And they have a good tower advantage though, so they're able to work the map a little bit harder, which does give them some kind of advantage. And it looks like they're going to try and position to get the second dragon here. Is coming in now. Strip is going to be recalling, but he does have the teleport, and Dan is actually going to be present for this dragon fight, it appears. So we might get ourselves a nice full 5-on-5 coming for this dragon.
Yeah, Forces of Nature not doing anything to force this. I'm a little surprised, and now they're finally starting it.
Yep. Dragon starts just getting pulled out, but right now it's just getting free autos. There we go. They are now starting on the dragon. Dan's on the opposite side, though. He's split up from the rest of the team. But Hibbs and everyone else are trying to zone him off.
Oh,
my God, gets the stun. Dubdrum gets the dragon steal, but Master's taking a lot of huge ult on Vivorite, deletes Christmas Tree. And Wukong Cyclone coming across. Vivorite's taking a lot of damage, though, from Mikro, and that's going to clear him up. Dan's going to do a ton of damage, get into the back line, pick up the triple kill. Blabu is just dancing around right there with Dubdrum. And 30's going to land the Zenith Blade on the Mana Strip. He's going to flash out to safety, but they have the minions here coming in, and they're going to try to find a crack open an inhib turret.
I cannot believe that fight was a win.
Dan goes in, takes tower aggro, gets stunned by Mana Strip, but he's going to walk out, and he's going to get the kill for Mikro.
There was
That's
no
going to be inhib.
Sorry, the Xmas tree was destroyed at the very start of that fight. He just got collapsed and got a little too aggressive, barely did any damage, and Blabur was completely zoned out of that fight by Dubdrum.
No,
But
that
the
entire
tank
fight was the
line
Dan and
is
Mikro show.
so strong. Mikro and Dan were enough to just win that fight on their own, and that is a worrying trend for Sharkbait.
Oh.
It's this 5
Memeing
damage threat or 4 damage threat comp. You have damage on every single champion except for your support.
Yeah,
Dan's sitting there with 10 kills. 10
they were-
fucking kills.
When they were behind, we were worried about all that damage, but it seems to have actually been a very big part of their comeback.
Yeah, he's doing insane amounts of damage, and I mean, if it does go late, it's going to be very problematic because they'll have no tank then, and everyone else will be doing damage and be tanky. But with the rate this is going, Dan's just cleaning up team fights.
I mean, look at the champions that you have over here. You have Irelia. I mean, she spent quite a bit of money into a Triforce. You have Lee Sin that spent a lot of money into Warrior and into Sightstone. He only really has Deadman's Plate and half of a Spirit Visage.
All right, can I drop a quick segment here called Top Lane Tips with AJS0?
Let's hear
Today
it.
we're going to talk about an item called the Mercurial Scimitar. This is not a good item. This is actually a very bad item. It is, stat for stat, one of the most gold inefficient items in the entire game. And the only situation where an AD carry ever wants to build it is when they have to build a QSS for some reason, maybe your Universal Warwick, and you have the QSS, you stun the QSS until everything else in your build is complete, and then you eventually upgrade to that Mercurial Scimitar. You never build this as your 4th item. You never build this as a bruiser. And you definitely never build this when the only CC on the enemy team you can use it on are Condemn and the Irelia stun. This is a god-awful purchase for my Dan.
There's also the Braum stun.
How could I forget?
How could you forget?
Braum stun is actually pretty big.
Yeah, no. But not your
I do
item
think
choice on a bruiser here.
No, he definitely could have spent money into Randuins or anything.
And now we have
Hextech.
the main force of Forces of Nature is pushing their way into Sharkbait's jungle. They're trying to make some aggressive plays here. The entire area is lit up for both teams, so everyone knows exactly where everyone else is. And it looks like they're going to try and force a Baron play now that they have that inhib down. They're clearing out a lot of the wards here. Dan's a little far out, though. Hibbs is going to get Orianna command boosted in, but
This
it's not going to
Baron
happen.
will go fast. You
Yeah,
have
this Baron
Warwick
started.
with
Mikro's
W.
on it, Tree's on it. They're doing a lot of damage on it. And Failed Destiny's going to find it, check it out, and see that they're on it. And all the pings start coming down.
Dan is in such an awkward flanking position here. He's
Yep.
being very
Severall's coming in, though. They're going to hammer on Vivorite. He gets slowed, gets Warwick ulted, gets destroyed real fast. But Bluer ulti coming over the wall, isn't doing too much. Matt's just going to jump on a tree, but he's not going to be able to get the kill. He's going to fall down to the rest of everyone else. In the meanwhile, Dan is just going through the back line, going to pick up the kill onto Dubdrum, and Failed Destiny and Hibs are going to run for their lives to try and get out of there. And Force of Nature are going to go ahead and pick themselves up a Baron.
Yeah, that was just another really good fight. And you know how we were talking about being worried Mikuro was going to keep ulting onto Hibs? Nope, a nice ult used on Vivra. Even though he was the only target caught out,
yeah,
still the right ult to use.
For all their worries, though, Force of Nature will get the bot tower. The minions were Winions, and got them a little bit of gold as a consolation prize for losing that fight.
These chaotic fights are actually so good for Force of Nature. Being able to position wherever they want with their Warwick and take like the almost skirmishy fight is huge for that team comp. If you put Warwick into a 5-on-5 like ARAM situation, you do not get that same result. You are able to cancel that ultimate a lot quicker, or at all. And I think that is part of the reason that Force of Nature is so far ahead in this game right now.
And now I'm just Dan actually hits his full build with an ohm record.
You know, I think I understand it now, what Dan's purpose is. Dan is worried that if we ever had something that we couldn't talk about, to give the analyst time to talk about his build. So there is always something for us to talk about throughout the entire game.
God bless.
We're going to be seeing the dragon spawn up in 10 seconds. Blue team's inhibitor is back up, so they're not going to have to worry about the supers pouring down mid lane, but they will have to worry about the split push Dan Wukong threat.
Out of bad items he could have built, I really would have loved a BZ-Rot portal.
I actually want, with this home wrecker, I don't want this team to go for Dragon. While they have Baron, I want to see them barrel down that mid lane, because the upper Nexus turret was only at about 500 health last I checked. It's currently at about half, but I feel like they could have barreled in and tried to just backdoor that and then finish the other tower with Baron creeps.
They're going to try and catch out Dan. He's still actually going to get some, he gets command distance. He's going to blow the Mercurial Center in order to get out. Dubdrum lands the Q though. They're going to go ahead. He's going to get the slow on him, but everyone's chasing on, and in comes Force of Nature. Dan turns around with the Cyclone, deleting Hibs. And meanwhile, Manstrip's going to, however, jump on a tree. Tree's getting destroyed. Dubdrum and Manstrip coming on, going on to Bluer. Bluer's going to flash out. Strip's going to flash to follow. He's going to get hit by the Zenith Blade, slowed down, but he's going to dash again, stun Blab out of the Vel'Koz ulti, and he's going to finish him off, but he's going to be so deep that he's going to get cleaned up by Dan in 30. Wow.
Dan, 13, 5, and 7. Can you even complain about that build?
I can complain
The answer is yes. The answer is yes.
It's not like Dan has been carrying this game the whole time. He is just he's played this late game much better than he played early, but he's made a lot of mistakes in this game. And he's
Mecca's taking a lot of damage.
He's
He's going to get the Braum stun to resolve onto him, but he's going to be tanky enough to not care too much and just walk his way out.
Yeah, with Hibs up in 3, Forces of Nature make a smart call to not overcommit to pushing there. But that inhibitor respawning will relieve a lot of pressure for Sharkbait.
Yeah, it's been up for a little bit since the spawn of the spawn of the dragon. So, which went down about a minute ago. Announcing that, so my apologies. And Mako's gonna grab the scuttle. Not too much is gonna happen right now. Nothing major coming up for fights. We'll probably try and see Forces of Nature come in and re-break that inhibitor in the mid lane.
Dan does currently have a teleport up, so the way Forces of Nature are positioning, I think they intend to use it.
Yeah, Failed Destiny is off in the jungle, not where he wants to be right now, where they're coming in for the siege. But it looks like Forces of Nature are not going to get in fast enough for it to matter too much.
And
30 games left. Midicro comes in, lands the Warwick on. He's going to cleanse it off, though, and he's going to get kicked away. Dubdrum coming in, follows in the queue. Huge Orion Shockwave onto Blubber, deletes Blubber. Bramall comes across his team. Lands sneaking in, though, and Dan's going to go ahead, settle on the Dubdrum, but he's going to eat a ton of damage from Hibs. Man Strip, meanwhile, doing work on Tree. Tree's gonna go down to Man Strip, and Dan's gonna run away, but he's not gonna. Oh no, he might escape. Dan's running for his life, gets the flash out, but Hip's gonna run him down and finish him off for the clean 5-0 ace.
That was a stupid,
in favor of
flash
Shark
out of Dan to cap off a stupid fight out of Dan. The second he showed on that creep wave top lane, any top laner who knows how top lane works knows the enemy team is going to hard engage, but he was not watching the teleport in on time, and Forces of Nature had already given up a kill and a ton of fight pressure before Dan even started channeling. No, this is just an inhibitor.
No, they might.
I don't know if they have a creep wave.
They're going for the inhib. They still have 15 seconds. They might try to push an end here.
Oh my god, no, they're too scared.
No, they're moving back. They're going to go ahead and move it backwards. But you got to think, Forces of Nature might be having flashbacks to what happened last game.
And you know how a few minutes ago I was talking about how Mikuro hadn't ulted Vayne in a while? Well, sure as shit, Mikuro gets too hypey in that fight and ults the guy with the QSS, who then proceeds to hard carry the fight because he wasn't threatened because of how late Time Just Dan showed up.
Also,
I feel that Mikuro could have ulted Vayne in that fight if he would have had somebody else with him. That was not a quick QSS. He got Vayne down to half health before getting him QSSing.
Yeah, it was crazy how close that came to working out.
Also, just to trigger you some more, Swift, if you would notice, that is not a QSS in Vayne's inventory. That is a Mercurial Scimitar.
Don't do that, folks. Not as your fourth item.
He could have built Infinity Edge.
It's really bad.
And Cyril comes through, they're running down really, really fast, trying to get Vivaret. Vivaret's gonna get flash out of the Solar Flare.
That's a big flash out of Vivaret, because as soon as they saw Dubdrum bot, they wasted no time committing to a fight there.
Yeah. Apparently Mikuro also flashed. He was probably trying to get in for the ulti as well. So there was actually a trade in flashes. Worst things can happen.
20 seconds on this Baron spawn, and Forces of Nature are the team being pressured down mid lane finally.
We'll see if Sharkbait can try to secure their second barret of the game. They kill the Scuttle Crab, they're getting their vision set up, but Forces of Nature are doing their best to keep it all cleared. 30's out of position. Nope, never mind. He's going to be able to dodge the lacing Q and make it out safely. Another ward coming in the brush over the wall. And it's going to get swept and probably cleared out as well. Force of Nature working their way into the side of the turret. Vivaret's out of position though. He doesn't have flash this time, but he's going to use Dissonance to get the speed boost and get out of there. Meanwhile, Dodrum walking up across the lane, lands the Q on a Mikuro, follows it up for some insane reason, gets stunned, gets out, gets a kick on 30 back through the line, but he's going to go down. Dan's going to go way deep, go ahead and get the Cyclone into 2 people, but he's going to have to back out as well after taking a lot of damage from Vayne.
No smite for our Sharkbait HooHa right now.
That's a man advantage for a minute.
Yeah, but they have a lot of pressure in their base, so I don't think they're going to capitalize too much on it, but that was a really, really bad fight from Sharkbait HooHa. There was nowhere for Madam Strip to effectively teleport into that fight, yet Dubdrum went super deep, and they had to wait for him to run all the way from the mid lane wall.
However, Sharkbait HooHa is going to be able to move down and pick up the 4th dragon uncontested. A rather underappreciated dragon. It actually gives you a lot of wave clear, but most importantly, it also gives 15% damage increase to monsters, which means you do Baron considerably faster.
I mean, 6 minutes from now, it's going to be a huge dragon fight coming up if this game makes it that long. Another 45-minute plus game coming out of these two teams. It is going to be a long night.
This series is very quickly developing into a marathon. Blue buff going down onto Vivaret, having both buffs on the appropriate champions for their team. Lots of vision going down for Force of Nature across the Baron, but is going to be timing out fairly soon on some of those wards. We'll see if we see a play here coming out. Force of Nature stacking up behind the wall, hoping that Sharkbait will push in, but instead Sharkbait's actually just going to go ahead and clear out some vision. Dubdrum's going to go forward, find out, get a ward down, find the enemy team.
Yeah, Forces of Nature have done a good job of stalling up while this mid lane inhibitor was down, so that's something they can hold on to, but man, they are so far removed from their power spike. They're going to need some level of an outplay to win a fight right now.
Oh yeah. Well, Force of Nature now coming around, going to try and throw a bit of standoff force against Sharkbait in the top lane, prevent that push. Looks like a lot of dancing around right now, and the red inhib is going to be coming up very soon, no longer having supers spawning in the mid lane. And Sivarel comes out, Veil Destiny Dubdrum is going to flash over the wall. They're going to continue to chase onto Hips. They see him, 30 lands the ult. Gets only a slow, but Warwick's going to go in ulti, and the cleanse comes out immediately. Stun onto Micro from Master. Master take a lot of damage coming in. Huge Vel'Koz laser across the entire team, but it's going to get canceled early. Dubdrum flashing in, going hard onto Vel'Koz, but he's going to be taking a lot of damage. He's going to go down. Vel'Koz picks up the kill. And Master's going to flash. He's going to trade flash for flash onto Blavur. He's super low, but he's still running. He gets the stun. He gets the he picks up the kill, but he's going to go down. His GA is going to pop, and Xmas Tree and Micro are going to be ready there to clean up. However, he might get out. He has reinforcements coming. Veil Destiny's going to jump to him, but he's going to go down. Veil Destiny is taking a lot of damage. Vane's going to come in with the Condemn onto Micro, but huge boomerang going down, taking a lot of damage. He's going to Bork to run away, but Warwick is on the hunt, and he wants blood. And we see a very messy fight there.
I feel like... Go on.
Vivaret got a shockwave that only hit 30 there, I believe, for the kill secure. He was just really, really zoned, at least felt zoned during that fight. And just awkward flanks and collapses. And
we see the Warwick ult onto Vayne once again, where it's promptly QSS'd.
Yeah, I feel like that fight... These teams are not playing good late game today. But unlike the last game, Sharkbait have a substantially strong late game comp that's pulling them through fight by fight here.
3k gold difference between these teams, or 3.5k gold difference between these teams. Nothing at 50 minutes into this game.
Yeah. We're going to see Sharkbait start up the Baron, putting a lot of damage onto it. They have a Vayne doing very, very quick work of this Baron. They're just going to get the ward over the wall. They're going to realize what's going on, but Sharkbait's going to continue onto it, and they're going to secure the Baron.
Dan, why are you teleporting?
Dan's going to teleport in, but then promptly cancel it, realizing that the team is not there to back him up.
And that's just a situational outplay from Sharkbait to take the easy Baron. And they have a very nice comp to utilize it. They can go for 50 minutes in. I don't think they're going to go for a split push here. But Micro...
No, they're going to go ahead. Micro's going to get caught, taking a lot of damage. He's going to flash out, but he's not going to be able to escape. The smite comes down to slow him, and Vayne's going to pick up the kill. Sharkbait now is going to march on into Forces of Nature space to reclaim this open inhib once again. Blavur is going to try and lay down some poke, but it's not going to be enough.
Micro might have just lost them the game.
But yeah, Force of Nature is not going to be able to do anything against this unless there is a huge mistake by Sharkbait.
Sharkbait now is moving down to meet up with a very large group of minions to use the Baron to try and take a second tower, inhib tower here.
They have a minute and 20 to try to siege before they can go and get their 5th dragon. This
they have a minute. Yeah.
So good for Sharkbait HooHa right now.
Micro is still down for another 40 seconds. This is real big. However, there is a bit of damage onto Sharkbait. Sharkbait's going to put a lot of damage onto this tower, though. Both Aurelia and Vayne getting some damage on it. Veil Destiny taking a lot of damage, though, from Vel'Koz, and they're going to back up. And it looks like Force of Nature is going to be able to hold this tower, possibly. Lots of damage coming from the Baron siege creeps. But yeah, they're going to be able to save it with just over 20% health.
Veil Destiny be a little bit too close to melee range there. If he wouldn't have gotten hit, they might have been able to siege for another quite a bit longer.
Sharkbait's going to go recall, go ahead and pick up the large wave top, and probably regroup to go ahead and try to make an attempt for the 5th dragon. Micro's going to be spawning at 5 seconds. We're going to have a full 5v5 ready for the next fight.
Yeah, Metatrue has a teleport, so he might try to go pretty deep on this split push first, because he knows even if they were to do a stupid collapse on him, it would just give his team the 5th dragon.
Yeah.
But he has no reason to save this teleport until the fight breaks out. I think clear one more wave and then teleport him before the dragon even spawns.
Yeah, we have Dragon coming up in 10 seconds. Lots of pings going down. They have a lot of wards in the enemy jungle. Meanwhile, Force of Nature just trying to get a little bit of vision inside the Dragon Pit to see what's going on. They're actually going to probably be able to secure the scuttle which is going to give him good vision in the middle of the pit. Vivert's going to take a lot of damage from Babur, and he's going to have to kite out. He's spotted by the Warwick.
That damage on Babur is so huge, but Strip's teleporting very deep right now.
Yep.
And he canceled?
Force of Nature starts on the dragon. He cancels the teleport, so Force of Nature going to go ahead and confirm the dragon. Man, Strip is going to do work, take this top tower, but I don't think he's going to be able to make it to the inhib one. Meanwhile, we have recalls coming out from Sharkbait.
Alright, folks. I did
And they're going to give away the
last
fifth
game. Please imagine I'm yelling right now, but what the actual fuck, you sorry-ass top laner. You would trade a second tower in the top lane for 5th dragon. The teleports in this series have been so ridiculously atrocious. I cannot believe it. There's no justification for canceling that teleport. That is god-awful.
Maybe
If Forces of Nature somehow win this game, that's going to be the play that set it up.
maybe Madam Stripe thought even though his team had Baron and was pretty close in gold, that his team was going to lose that fight.
Sharkbait now going in. They have one solo in the mid lane, 4 people pushing the bot. Sharkbait is going to go ahead and try to make a push to clean up this another inhibitor tower, but Forces of Nature are doing a very good job clearing the waves and keeping this tower safe as it slowly heals up. Looks like we're going to possibly break another 60-minute, boys. This is going to be a long night.
Dear
God.
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 Oh, huge ult comes down, lands on a failed destiny. Dubdrum taking a lot of damage. Laser comes across. It's going to be a little meltdown Babur. Vayne's going to condemn and then roll out. But the hunt is on. Vivert's going to be able to walk away, and it looks like we're going to be able to trade this away for a 2-for-1. No, 1-for-none. My apologies.
And this is turned into an inhibitor trade in the mid lane since there's no Baron to take. I don't know. Don't turn around for the screen and do not, for the love of fuck, back. What the fuck are
Force
you
of Nature
doing?
is going to go ahead and recall. They're going to go ahead and kill the supers, and they're going to make sure that their base is staying healthy, getting back to deal with the super and its compatriots on the tower. Meanwhile, 45 seconds still on Dubdrum. Dan's going to go ahead and meet up with a very large minion wave in the top lane, start to push that in.
Rick, I can't see your face, but I can imagine it right now.
I'm tilting so
He's
hard
just got
right
this
now.
scrunched up look on his face. And
We have
he's
2
just
players
sitting
from
there.
Sharkbait waiting in the bush, trying to bush bait. They're not actually going to... Nam's just going to go ahead and deal with the wave and with Vayne. Vivert's going to wait in the bush to keep them safe. But nothing's going to come of it.
Death timer on Dubdrum. Right there with an inhibitor exposed for the taking. And Forces of Nature completely give it up. They deserve to lose this series right now. They have to be tilting. They have to be tilting. There's no other way.
Meanwhile, Forces of Nature are grouping up as 4, where we're coming to join them. There's nothing happening here right now.
As a jungle player, I've really been disappointed with Warwick because Warwick's cooldown at level 16 is 60 seconds, and he has not been pressing it like every time you see a champion. Like, I feel like their team comp, if they would just use that Sivir ult and Warwick would be ulting more, they'd be able to get a few more kills out of Warwick or out of Warwick's ult because it is so short of a cooldown at this point in the game.
We have Baron now coming up for another minute, just over. We're going to have another big old 5v5 brawl probably coming at it. Both teams have both their inhibs, all their inhibs up, so there won't be any supers to change the tides of battle. But it looks like Sharkbait's going to try and pick a... Nope, never mind, just clearing waves. Sharkbait's going to try to set up for this Baron.
There's
Get
no
their
chance
third
the fight
Baron of
happens
the
before
game.
this Baron spawns, right? Zero chance until Baron spawns?
No, there's a Sivir and a Warwick.
No,
there
these
can
guys
be a
won't
fight.
fight. Have you watched what they've done for the past 10 minutes?
That's going to be backing enemy jungle, but he's going to be safe. They're going to go ahead and clear out some wards and get some of their own wards on the Baron, realizing that this is going to be a big fight.
Adam Stripe's teleport's up. Just Dan's teleport is up.
Third Baron of the game, and just under 2 minutes after that, we have the 8th Dragon of the game.
The calm before the storm, right here.
Yep. We have the bush bait going on, but Tree's going to walk past the ward. Sharkbait knows that Force of Nature is in the pit. Madam Strip is bot lane, but he does have TP. Meanwhile, walking past a ward, so Force of Nature does go in to hide in that bush, but Sharkbait does have some idea of where they're at. They're going to get a little bit of poke down as they are going to try to establish control in the pit.
Baron
Meanwhile,
is alive.
Yep. Baron is live. Meanwhile, Dan's going to go ahead and recall to try and match Madden's Strip split push, while the rest of Force of Nature go ahead and push down into the mid lane to see if they can go ahead and probably try and force an inhib. Or they're going to
really hoping that Madam Strip would keep pushing so we could have a 1v1 in that bot lane and this entire game could come down to which teleport was less awful.
I really hope that Just Dan does not stick down in that bot lane and split push because of how bad those teleports have been, how late they've been.
Dan's going to go ahead and start the split push. Force of Nature going to go in their jungle, hiding out. Meanwhile, Sharkbait just
While
moving
we have
around.
a chance, I want to just quote some wisdom from Twitch
Yeah.
chat. Salva with the Cloud9 got less Barons in the entire summer split than Barons in these two games, which is probably true.
Meanwhile, we have 4, 5, all the entire team of Sharkbait
You have
on the Dragon
Warwick
Pit. Force of
Severe.
Nature's going to go ahead and
Why
rush
would you
this
leave
dragon.
that open?
This Baron's going to go down before anyone of Sharkbait can get there. They're not even moving for it. They're not even going to try to clean up. They've realized they messed up. And
They're going for 5th Dragon.
Well, it's
We're
at least
gonna go ahead-
Baron
we're gonna
for
go for
5th
fifth
dragon.
dragon.
Not an awful trade, but
no,
I
not a bad trade
understand.
at all. However, Force of Nature is streaming in fast. Dan's going to get kicked out by Lee Sin. Lee Sin has no ult, but that secures 5th Dragon. And Force of Nature is here, is looking for blood, blows the Sivir ult, running in fast. They're going to run around. Micro's going to split off from the rest of the team. But the rest of the team's collapsing on the side. They're going to find 3 members of Sharkbait. They're going to land a stun on the Micro. Huge Solar Flare goes out, stunning killing his. And big Cyclone ult from the backline from Dan. Cleans up.
Vayne is dead!
But Vayne's going to try to get out, doesn't make it out, Strips down, going ahead on the street, but he's taking a lot of damage, and we're going to get a huge fight here. Strips flashing out, trying to make it
This
out
is
as fast
the
as he
game.
can.
This is Baron and 3 people dead.
This might be game here.
They'll go back to clear base, don't worry.
We have a 1-for-3 fight here. That is 60 seconds on the death timers. That is a full minute for Force of Nature to do whatever they want with complete uncontrolled. Dubdrum's going to go ahead and toss in a Q, but Sir's going to spell shield, saying thanks for the mana. But we're not going to see much else. Dubdrum's going to get another Q on the Micro, just kind of be scary at him.
They're taking a very safe play here and going for the creeps, but god damn does Forces of Nature like wasting time tonight.
They're in
No,
a recall. They're not even going to go ahead and push.
Oh my god.
I told you,
How-
they gotta go back. There's not.
How badly do these teams have to play before we're allowed to downgrade this to a best of 3? That's a rhetorical question, by the way. We would never actually consider that, but for a reason. I can't. Any questions I had about whether people are tilting are long gone. Forces of Nature have to be tilting harder than I've ever heard of anyone tilting to be making these decisions as a team.
Oh,
There's
man.
no excuse. There is no excuse for that.
Do you think that these
And I
teams
have to feel like that has to lose them the game for the second game in a row. God awful late game decision making when they could have just won, and now they're going to lose a second game because of it. This is unreal. This has taken the baddie to a whole new level. When I created the league, I did not have this in mind. I never wanted this.
Tift, I'm really glad, Swift, that your team doesn't have any games to play for the rest of the season, because I feel like after watching this, you're so tilted that, Man's gonna go in, gets the slow on a Micro, Dubdrum's gonna come in, they're gonna go ahead, TP coming in from Dan, Sivir all goes out, Blad's on the back line, taking a lot of damage from Mavstrip, Mavstrip's GA is popped, Dan goes in the back line, pulls out the Cyclone, doing a ton of damage on the Vayne, but he's not gonna be able to get it, Vayne's gonna pick up the kill, and they're gonna trade both the top laners in a 1-for-1 trade. Micro, go ahead, gets the ult on the Vivre. Lots of damage going on. Vivre's going to flash out. Micro is still chasing hard, but he's going to go into the tower. He's going to get damaged. 30's going to follow up. He's going to go ahead, get the kill for trade, and he's going to get condemned to safety. Making
3
this
for
now
2.
3 for 2.
Outplay potential available. Xmas Tree does have a major.
However, we're going to see
right
Force
now.
of Nature picking up another inhibitor tower, but do not want to take the chance, and they're going to go ahead and leave that inhib safe and come back for another round. However, the Super Minions are going to go ahead and pick up the first of the 2 Nexus towers, taking... Oh, the Minions are going to take this game into their hands. They've decided that if their teams aren't going to win this game for them, the Minions will win this game.
Just want to note, this game has quietly broken 60 minutes. That is, the first 2 games of this series have gone post 60. This is one of the rarest things you could ever see in a best of 5. And the craziest thing is that we can have 3 more games after this.
Oh my god. The fans are cringing. The fans.
I can't even keep up. I'm like trying to cast, and I'm like, I don't even know if I'm saying words anymore. I'm like just saying abilities and names and people dying.
I hope we get 2 games after this that are both like late games or early game teams, like the earliest you could possibly pick teams. Is that even possible?
I just want to point out something here. Is with how long these 2 games have gone, we could have a series decided, like the next 2 games could be done, and it'd be totally reasonable in less time than either of these games have taken after this. It's like 2 34-minute, like 30-minute games. That's totally reasonable to happen. But not in this series.
Let's talk about some items while we have a chance. Just looking over the 80 carry builds like I'm prone to doing. Xmas Tree has the gold too, but he has not sold that static ship for a Phantom Dancer. That's a fairly major mistake at this point in the game, as Phantom Dancer gives you a lot of DPS over a ship. But here comes the fight.
The Solar Force is going to be blown. Super all on the hunt. It's going to piece out. They're going to try to get away. 30's going to get slowed by Dump Drum. They're off the war jump. Braum Q comes down. Lots of damage coming around. 30's taking a ton of beating, though, and they're going to leave 30 for dead.
They have to, but they're going to try to at least trade inhibitor.
And Dan's going in, but however, Madam Ship is going into TP to stop Dan's push, and Dan's just going to walk away.
I think they're going to try and engage another fight. Forces of Nature are trying to fight this 3v4. And hoping it's
collapsed the right way. This could work out. Oh, this could be a big pick on the Failed Destiny. They pop the upgraded red trinket. They know if they're walking over wards or not, but they have no sight of Failed Destiny.
The ping goes on Failed Destiny. Yeah.
They, Dan has the sight. Oh my.
Failed Destiny is going to get knocked up by the Cyclone. He's going to try to find a flash to safety. He's going to find the rest of Forces of Nature. He's going to turn around with the Braum ult, though, and the Village is going to barely miss on picking him up. Micro's going to get the ult on a Madam Strip. Dub's going to kick Blabur to safety, followed up with a Q, and he's going to be very, very deep. Cable Hibs doing tons of work on a Micro, though, but Tree and Blab are going to be able to clean up Dubdrum. Cable Hibs going to flash in to clean him up, but he's going to also get taken very low from 2 crits from Tree. We're going to leave with Tree versus the world. With 13 seconds on 30.
This has to be the end.
I don't know. 30's up in 10 seconds. We have 3 members of Sharkbait pushing in. They're going to start doing a lot of damage to Inhibitor. Tree's going to recall. Coming in with the pot. 30's going to come up. He also has the home guards. Both of them are streaming in fast. And Sharkbait's going to run away with taking the victory of that and the Inhib. And they're going to make their way to secure their 6th dragon and 5th dragon buff for the 2nd time this game.
And there's 30 seconds on Baron Nashor. That's about 10 seconds before either Smite spawns. I cannot imagine how awful Forces of Nature will feel if they lose this game.
Baron's going to be up in 10 seconds.
Strong feeling they're going to.
Baron's up in 10 seconds. There's still 20 seconds on Dubdrum. Most plays in this game.
Is currently in the mid lane, coming from Sharkbait HooHa. In addition to having both side lanes very built up, they are in a very good position to start this Baron and actually get a fight on their own terms for once. And they're actually going to try to start this without Dubdrum. Are they going to take the scariest 50-50 Baron possible?
They're doing a lot of damage on. There's no damage from the side. They're going to go ahead and secure this Baron without their jungler. That is now Baron on all 5 members of Sharkbait and 5th Dragon on 3. They're going to go ahead and group up, and they're going to try and push and end this game at the 65-minute mark. They have a massive wave coming into the bot. We'll see if they try to regroup there, or if they're just going to try and straight up force end this.
They have very good options for a Baron siege.
The Sharkbait coming in with a 4 cannon minion wave and Baron buff. This is a terrifying minion wave. However, it's going to take a lot of damage to the Xmas Tree while trying to stream in, but it's not going to be enough. This massive wave is doing a lot of damage, but it's not going to be able to get on the tower, and they're going to clean it up. Micro just goes ahead and heal tanks the wave.
That tower's sitting at about half.
As Force of Natures, do you think that they're going to force the fight right here and just hope and pray that they kill Erohibs?
I don't know. I've made a lot of predictions about this game, and I've been able to safely say that a lot of them have been blown out of proportion or just greatly incorrect. So
when you have 2 60-plus minute games, there's going to be a lot of predictions and a lot of shit that didn't happen right.
Yeah, that's very true. We have a very large minion wave coming in on the top wave as well. We're going to see if Forces of Nature actually have to go deal with that, or if Sharkbait's just going to try to leave it to its own demise. Dan's going to go ahead and move his way up, but Forces of Nature's
Don't worry,
struggling to
guys.
hit the tower.
He has teleport.
Where would he tell? Oh, the one outside the base.
Yeah.
It was a joke. Teleports have been a joke, so I'm allowed to make it
And
myself,
despite
right?
Sharkbait's greatest effort in this 1.5-minute siege now, they have not yet taken the tower. They've gotten some good damage onto it, but it is still staying strong.
How long has Dan had that Trinity Force?
They lost.
I have no idea.
He built
also
that
has
as a
Zephyr.
late game item, right?
However, the
And the
tower's
Zephyr,
finally
he
starting to
sold
take
the
some
Woodford.
damage. These minions are getting in there. The tower's ticking down to 250 health, the lowest it's been. Another big bot from the cannon creep. 2 more, and it's going to go down 70 health. They can't get rid of it. They're going to barely draw the aggro of this cannon creep just long enough to get 1 shot away. This tower's going to be at 13 health. For all intents and purposes, it is down.
Baron's about to fall off.
Baron's about to
don't
fall
have
off, but this
Dragon.
tower's going to go down. 1 minion gets the aggro on it. Mikro's going to go ahead and get the ult onto Vivek. Vivek's going to Zonios. Solar Flare comes in. Dan goes into the backline, gets onto Vayne, changes his
Shockwave
mind though.
misses!
Vivek's going to miss the
And Braum
shot.
ultimate.
Meanwhile, Manstrip diving onto the backline while Dan is getting cleaned up. But Tree's going to pick up another kill. We have currently a 1 for 2. Dan's going to make it out safely. And Tree's going to go ahead and say, get the hell out of my base. Meanwhile, Blad's going ahead to clean up the super minions that did make their way into the center lane. And Forces of Nature's going to win that fight 2-1, trading Mikro for Madam Strip and Nibs.
That was god awful from Sharkbait HooHa.
That whiffs Shockwave.
With
Alright.
Shockwave and whiffed Braum ultimate. Both
Yeah.
of them didn't hit anybody.
So let's start talking about some of these builds while we have a little bit of downtime. Iroh Hibbs, you currently have 5,300 gold in a trinket that has never been upgraded. Shame! Xmas Tree, you currently have 5,400 gold and a static shiv that you could exchange for a Phantom Dancer. Shame! I'm just Dan. I'm not sure if this is your first game as Wukong or not. Shame! I don't even know where to start with Dan's build. I could do a 2-hour Thorin video on that build and probably
But
not
your
get that
homework
point I
assignment
have.
for next week is to turn in a 5,000-page essay on what's up with Dan's
If a
build.
picture is 1,000 words, then a 70-minute game bod must be worth a few million, right?
Yeah, that's fair. You got me there.
The Zephyr plus Trinity Force plus Mercurials.
So
It's like he's playing it.
he actually bought a Trinity Force late in this game. Folks, let me tell you a little bit about Trinity Force. It's a very good item if you buy it early and you get an early power spike when it's strong. It is not.
Vayne's gonna blow the ult. Think there's gonna have a fight, but it's not happening. Vayne ult's now gonna be on cooldown for the next 70 seconds. It's a major cooldown.
40
I'm not sure if
seconds
Force of
until
Nature was
the
able to spot
10th
that though.
Dragon of this game. The 10th dragon. The 10th dragon. We're
Dragon's
going
now
to
up
see
in
that
30
dragon
seconds.
time.
Force of Nature gonna try to secure their 4th dragon. Meanwhile, Sharkbait's gonna try and secure their 7th dragon to get the 5th dragon buff on them once again. But maybe perhaps people have forgotten that it's up. Both Failed Destiny and Madam Strip recalling, and Force of Nature kind of dirtling around in the mid lane. Dragon's up in
I'm
10
just
seconds though.
going to set up a split push in the top lane, but don't worry, guys. He's got teleport.
Pings are going down.
It
Force
doesn't
of
matter.
Nature,
You have
get the
Warwick
ward
and
down. They're gonna go
Severe.
ahead and start the
Oh,
dragon right away, but Madam Strip's coming into the pit and they're gonna back up.
where's the teleport, boys?
Is the TP coming? And they're just gonna
No,
go
it's
ahead and
not.
Sharkbait's gonna go ahead and walk in the dragon and pick up the 1st dragon for free, no contest. Meanwhile, Dan's go ahead and pushing in the top lane, running to the inhib to go ahead and clear minions. But he's not gonna be able to get there anything done in time, most likely. Goes ahead and clears out the melee creeps and walks away.
If Force of Natures is not gonna do anything in this game, they should just FF right now. Just do something. Can't just keep giving those dragon buffs away, or
Have you guys
sending.
ever heard those stories about how some crazy abusive parents lock their child in a basement for 25 years and then they finally get out and see the outside world and they're really fucked up because they've never met other people besides their insane abusive parents? I'm pretty sure you could take one of those people and put them into this game, and they would have found a way to end earlier than this.
Wow.
Or I'm the child being abused. I'm not sure at this point.
I'm sorry, I'm PC, bro.
Oh man. Well,
This is...
we have now broken the 70-minute marker. For those of you who have not noticed, we
Has
have
an
had
SBL game ever broken 70?
no.
I
do
don't
not
think
believe
so. This is
we're
the
close to
longest.
breaking. We're closer to breaking a LCS record, dude. I think the longest LCS game was 74 minutes. So, Mavstrip setting up that split push in the top lane. He's gonna go ahead and wait in the bush. Meanwhile, so both Sharkbait side lanes are pushing out. And we have Force of Nature waiting on that Baron. They're going to go ahead, and Micker's going to start it up right away. Sharkbait doesn't appear to know that it's happening as they're streaming down the mid lane. Mavstrip waiting in that top bush. He's going to go ahead and try to fight I'm Just Dan. Meanwhile, Micro is still working on this Baron, and Sharkbait's trying to stream in as Dan runs away from Strip.
But they can collapse on
The
the strip.
Sivir ult comes out. They're going to go ahead and try to collapse onto Madam Strip. He's out of position. The full 5 are on him. 30 gets the Zenith Blade on him. He's going to dash double blue. Getting a lot of damage. Force the
Solar
micro
Flare
ult
misses
out.
everything.
He's going to go down. Hibbs picks up I'm Just Dan in the backline. Big ult onto all 3 members of Force of Nature in the area. Hibbs is going to get stunned by 30, but it's not going to be enough. Brahma ult is going to pick up, and we're going to get the clean 5-for-1 ace, and that is going to be game 2 at some time
nice.
after 73 minutes.
It's over. It's done.
Forces of Nature.
250 gold later. 4
Sharkbait
Barons
HooHa
later.
has
10
claimed game
Dragons
2
later.
of the playoffs of the Batty League.
You know what we asked after last game? How can it possibly get worse? It could, guys. It can always get worse. This...
This is the Batty League. You know, if somebody wants to know what the
Wow.
Batty League is, just send them that VOD.
I'm getting whispers from people I never knew watched the Batty League or had friends in this league that can't believe what's going on in both of these games. This is...
This is Batty
This is
League.
awful. And, we're gonna go take our 3 minutes real fast to try to gather ourselves mentally before game